We'll get started here in just a second. The good thing is it doesn't take a whole hour to really do this athlete management. It's pretty simple. How many in this room have actually used rank 1 sport before? So a large number of them. And we're only tweaking it, so a lot of it will stay the same for those that have already been used. Excellent. If you haven't, I think you'll find it very user-friendly. It's got some nice stuff, and what TAPPS is allowing us to do and what we're trying to change, there's only a few changes in there. I think they're actually being less stringent than maybe they've been in the past, trying to streamline things and make it easier and faster. So I'm hoping that you'll see that. This morning, what I thought I would do is, some of you already have seen it, is kind of show you what we're thinking, and actually let you see it on the athlete management, and then maybe just do a question and answer type thing, because I kind of know at least a high level of all the things that are going to require you to do in the software, even though it may not be athlete management, maybe it's the coaching stuff. For example, you have 2 forms you're going to have to fill out, and they're going to be inside the software. You're going to watch some videos, sign off, and submit it. The other one, you're going to read a document, put your signature on there, and submit it. It's going to be that easy. They'll be able to obviously have a window in to see who has completed their coaching stuff and who hasn't. Same thing for fine arts. Yeah, and I'm just curious, because this is a little bit different for us. How many in this room are fine arts only? So good, this is all athletic side? Excellent, very good. You want to sign and come on in, that'd be great. We're just kind of barely getting started. The athlete management, one thing that's different that I haven't seen before, we're working through, and we plan to release it on July 15th. We should be ready on July 15th for all of your online forms for your parents to now do the paperwork online. July 15th. And I didn't want them having to fill out 18 different forms, so it's down to 3. There'll be a physical and a medical history. Everybody will do either a 2 or 3 page document. So if I'm a parent, this is a paper document still. This is not online, but it is going to be where you can fill it all in on the computer, print it, take it to the doctor, get your signatures, and then turn it into you. Okay? It's a fillable PDF. Some students, or all students, in extracurricular activities have to do the medical history. Everybody. It's a 2-page document. All parents can fill it out. Everything. Right there on the computer. Print it and bring it to you. You will sign off, and then you will actually upload it into Rank 1. Everybody will do those 2 pages. Choir, athletics, all of them will do the medical history. It's a 2-page PDF. We streamlined it. We put NA on some of the questions. We took out some of the verbiage. We made it more simple for the parents to fill out. Now, if you're obviously in athletics, dance, cheerleading, and band, then you have to have the physical. So all sports, and then those 3 also have to have the 3rd page. Well, the physical, you print it off, you take it to the doctor fills it out, they bring it back to you, and then you scan it and put it in Rank 1. Then it's inside it. So every student will either have 2 pages scanned and uploaded, or 3. It's that simple. So that's one document, paper document. You just can't check the box and put it over in the building. TAPPS wants it uploaded. When there's a problem, they won't ask you or anything. They have the access to go in there and get that kid's physical or medical history. They can view it. It's covered year-to-year basis. For you and your coaching staff, all of your people inside that have access to Rank 1. If I'm out on the road or whatever and I need a copy of it, because you scanned and uploaded, you can pull out the app and download it, or you can look at it at any time, so you'll have it. They want that in there for your protection and for their protection, that document is scanned and uploaded. So that's a little bit of maybe a difference in requirements. So every student will have 2 pages at least, the medical history, and then if you're an athlete, dance, cheerleading, band, you also have to have the physical, and you'll upload them all. So that takes care of that one. The first form that you will see that's an online form, all TAPPS schools will see it, it's a required. It's called the student profile form. So we took this form and we basically, for those of you who are aware of TAPPS and how the paperwork works, which I'm guessing most all of you are, we took a student profile form. And it's going to be an online form that the parents will go down through there and fill out. And like the first question, are you a U.S. citizen? If you check yes, no problem. You go to the next one, nothing required. But if you check no, then it comes up with a couple of questions like, have you filled out the international packet? No, I haven't. Boom, tells you right there, download it, fill it all out, turn it into you, and then you will actually log into Rank 1, and then you will put all the information. It will be an online form for you, and you'll submit it to go straight to TAPPS. So that's different, okay? Then it goes to that next question. After you get past U.S. citizen, you'll hit the residence form. Same type of deal. Has this changed? And it takes them through a wizard. And if they say no, that's a 7-page document. They fill it out. They bring it to you. You'll go inside Rank 1. You'll fill it out online. I think part of the reason, after just visiting with them, they get so many forms turned into them that are handwritten, they can't even read the names. They can't even read the verbiage on the forms. That's why they're requiring for the parents to print it off, fill it out, give it to you so you and your staff can go in and fill it out online, and when they get it, they can actually read it. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. So many times you get that paper, you can't read the writing. So they didn't know. Then it caused you have to send it back 4 and 5 different times. They're hoping that this will streamline the process. Then the PAPF, once again, we know that can't be an online form because it has to go to the previous school and back to you, but you will scan it and upload it right inside Rank 1. I'll show you where all this is going to be. You'll see, the nice thing is we'll do PDF tutorials on this. We'll do some video tutorials. We're going to have trainings. We're going to have webinars. And if we do it right, the software will be so intuitive that you really don't have to do these once you kind of see how Rank 1 works. Okay? So we've got a physical/medical history. We've got a student profile form. Okay? The next one, we've taken all the TAPPS, heat, steroid, concussion, all those, what used to be individual forms, and they are simple, all combined into one form that the parent will submit online. It'll be, I have read this, check the box. I have read this, check the box. I have read this, check the box. I have read this, and it gives them the links to it. Then it tells them what sports I'm going to play. They check those, sign off. Parents sign off, it comes in. So that's as simple as that can be. It's all combined into one. And then there may be one other form, but I think we're just working on it right now. But July 15th, we'll have all of the online forms ready for you. Now, let's say your district would like to add one. We have a local one. That's fine. You will give it to us. Our programmers will take that form and create an electronic digital form for you. No cost. We'll put it on there. Then your kids won't turn green until they've done all the TAPPS and your local form. Okay? If you're going to have a local form, let's say you've got 5 or 6 policies, we would encourage you to do like most of our UIL schools do and a lot of our other TAPPS schools that we're already working with. Don't make an individual form. If it's a read and sign, read and sign, read and sign, think about check boxes. I have read all of the following, and they can't submit it until they check the box and say they've read this policy, this policy, this policy, this policy. Make sense? Try to combine your forms and make it easy on you and your parents. That profile form, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what it also does. I don't want to get caught up in the weeds here too much, because when you see it, it'll make sense. Those of you who are using Rank 1 already know this. If you're not, this is a little different on how we work with the athlete management. We're going to go to each one of your districts, and we're going to work with your IT department. And we have a very simple spreadsheet called a CSV file. If you're using RimWeb or WinGauge or PowerSchool, or there's 15 different companies out there that do your student management system. But we all know that's the first thing that happens. When you come to a school, you register, you get into that system. That's where your grades are at. That's where they do all your class rosters and that software, right? Since all that data is there, we learned a long time ago, let's be smart. Rank 1 needs all those kids inside the system, so you don't have to manually add them. You should not be putting any kids in manually. It should all be done electronically, at least initially. So we're batting 1,000. To this point, we've been here 11, 12 years now. We've never worked with a district that had to put the kids in by hand. We always are able to use the Excel spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet. And you go in your software and you have your secretary or your person who handles that, and they say, okay, I need all 6 through 12, and I need it by last name, first name. You don't have to write any of this down. We're going to give you the samples. We have these samples that have tutorials, and then it has a blank template. When you give that to your IT people, secretary, somebody, they can go into that software and they can run that report, export it to Excel, copy and paste it into our document, right? Then we have a simple upload process. So 1 second, you got nobody in the system. The next second, you have every 6th grader through 12th grader in there. It should be that easy. Like I said, we're batting 1,000. All those TAPPS schools that are in here, every one of those uploaded their kids. Not one of them had to do it by hand, so we're expecting the same thing. And we're as advanced as doing this. If you got a pretty good IT department, we have a group that will help them set up an API. And this API will update every day. New kid comes in, you put them in yours, that night it gets put into rank 1. If that's too sophisticated, we have something in the middle of the road called an SFTP. Same thing, it updates nightly. They come into your school, they come in, they enroll, they get put into your student management. That night they get added to rank 1, and then their parents can go on and fill out the paperwork. Okay?
What about withdrawal?
Withdrawal, it'll even do that. If you put it has a yes or it has a capital Y or a capital N in that column. So when they withdraw it puts an N in there, and then it would hide it. So let me tell you a little bit about what we can and won't do. So that brings up another topic. Let's say I'm at your school today and I'm a TAPPS student. I filled out all of my paperwork. I got it all, and I'm in your district. For some reason I need to move, and I go over to this lady's district. Well, hey, she was already in a TAPPS school, now she's at a net. Why don't you just move the data? We cannot. We won't. There's a HIPAA, FERPA, there's all kinds of stuff. And then think about this. Even if that kid was in this district only a week, and in that week went out for basketball, first day of practice, jumped up, hit their head on the rim, and gave themselves a concussion. You're an athletic trainer or somebody documented that in the software. Well, if we moved a kid, where did her medical records go? So when some lawyer comes back a year or 2 years later and starts blaming, you see, we would never do that. We would never take a chance. Once you're in that system and that student is there, whether they leave or not, all of their records stay there. So at any point in time, somebody comes back to you and says, hey, I need to see something from 3 years ago. You're not going, oh no, what box do I go dig through now to find out those records? And let me go pull up that. No more. I'll show you how easy it is. You just change the year. And each kid's got basically an electronic filing cabinet that stays with them. And it's there 7 years after they graduate. It's still sitting there. Actually, it's 11 years now. My schools that came on 11 years ago can literally still go back 11 years ago and pull up any student and see any kind of injury information, any kind of files that were uploaded, disciplinary files, medical files, all of that. It's all sitting right there. It's not in boxes, it's right there in the software. So that's what we're going to provide for you as well. Does that make sense? So we all agreed in the TAPPS office, and we didn't. They said, no, you leave this school, you go over here, you complete all the paperwork, because they got to look at that transfer stuff and everything else. So same thing for coaches. You know, just because you filled out the coaches forms for this district and for some reason you moved or had something happen where you had to go to work for another place, you would still fill out those 2 forms in your new district before you would become compliant. Does that make sense? So I think from what they used to do, from what I was watching on their coaches deal, like, oh my gosh, you couldn't have access to this, and you couldn't do this, and you couldn't do this, and you couldn't do this. They really streamlined it. There's two coaches deal. That's it. At least for this first year. They may add something a little bit along the way, but they really simplified it from what I can do. Okay? All right, so I'm going back to the athlete management. On July 15th, we'll have the forms ready. If you want to get started earlier than that, as far as getting your kids in there, we'll work with you. We've already kind of done a little setup on every single district that's a TAPPS organization. Behind the scenes, we've done some stuff. So if you're a little proactive and say, hey, you know what, I want to go ahead and get started, at least go ahead and just, get my kids in there. Some of you haven't even promoted. Back at home at your campus, you're still in 18, 19, and they got to go through summer school, and your people got to take a vacation, and they're slow about it. Some of them haven't even rolled them up into 19, 20 yet. Some of you have. If you have and you want to kind of get started and go ahead and get 19, 20 kids in there, let us know. Send us. And here's what I want to tell everybody. There's 5 or 6 support people. And because we're putting on a massive group all at once, there's no way that we can take phone calls from every one of you. So I would tell you, write this down. This would be something, or you could remember probably. The easiest way and the fastest way for you to get help is support@rank1sport.com. SUPPORT, support@rank1sport.com. Because what that does, it goes into our ticketing deal. And by the way, there's Kinsey in the background. If you're ever call and get it, Kinsey, come on up, Greg. Come on up here so they can see it. So these are 2 of our employees right here. I monitor the support along with them, and then there's 3 others upstairs. So we got 5 or 6, and what we do is, some of us might be working with those support tickets, and we try to answer every ticket the day of the ticket. I mean, we may have to tell you, hey, it'll be tomorrow before we can do this, or it's going to take 3 days to do this, but we try to get back with you every day. We don't like to go to bed without a ticket being answered. But we're going to have a lot of them in a short amount of time while we're trying to get everybody up and running. But support@rank1sport.com is the best way, because then if I'm busy and you're sitting there waiting for me to call you back, if you just send it to support, one of us will be able to respond. Does that make sense? You'll get a faster response that way. And like I said, that's Kinsey and that's Greg, and they're really good. They both have lots of experience, and there's pretty much everything in the software that they know how to do, and they'll be able to help you with. And there'll be questions, I'm sure. All right, thanks, guys. But Kinsey, I might get you to run the software here. So, I want to try to stay on focus with athlete management. Here it is, 9:22. We've only got 38 minutes, but watch how simple this is. Let's go ahead and log in. So I'm going to log in as an athletic director, okay? There are actually settings, like I could be an AD, I can be an administrator, I see more, I can do more. Then I can be an athletic trainer. Well, an athletic trainer needs to see all sports, so he has access and can document stuff for all sports. Then I might be a head coach of only 1 or 2 sports. Well, then that's the only rosters I can build. That's the only things that I can really message and things like that. Does that make sense? It's all set up. It's probably been through so many revisions that it's pretty well dialed into what you do. I mean, this is all we do. We work with schools. This is all we do. So we've been doing it a long time. So it's kind of already, for you, it's already going to be very easy. So when you log into the software, this is a typical layout of what you would see inside Rank 1 Sport. Across the top, you have tabs, your dashboard, your athlete management, your scheduling stuff, your equipment stuff, your transportation, your camps. If you use that, you can run reports. And if you are an admin, you have an admin tab. Most of this is very intuitive and common sense. If you're thinking about, hey, I need to build a roster, hey, I need to go in there and see an athlete, hey, I need to look at the master list, hey, I want to upload a physical, you wouldn't go to schedules, you wouldn't go to transportation to do that. You'd go to athlete management. If I want to put a schedule in and put a score in, those are required. Well, you wouldn't go to athlete management, you'd go to scheduling. And you know, if I needed coaches stuff, then it'll be under the dashboard, under your compliance down here. You'll turn red and green just like a student does, and you're right there on the very first page when you log in. But that's just an easy overview of what the software looks like. So athlete management. One of the things that all TAPPS schools are going to be required to do is build your rosters. You got a varsity football, if you have football, you got to build that varsity football. If you got JV, you got to build that JV football. If you got a 9th grade, you need to build it. All the way through, rosters have to be built. So we're going to work with you and put every student in your school in the software. So now it's point and click. It's going to be point and click to build your roster. So here's how you would do it. I'm an AD, so I see all schools and all sports. I would see my high school and my middle school. It's possible that whoever set you up will give you access to the high school and the middle school. It's possible that you won't put your middle schools in there. We would encourage it, and there's reasons why, but you don't have to. So what you would do in effect, this is how simple it would be for you to build a roster. I'm at Demo 2 High School. I'm supposed to build my volleyball varsity roster inside rank 1. So the first thing I do, you're even ahead of me, just to back up. So I would hold my cursor over athlete management. I'm supposed to build a roster. I know it's in athlete management because that's the only thing that makes sense. On the drop down, I have a list. Master list. Do I want to go to my daily treatments? Do I want to manage roster? Ding, 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 ding. That's what I'm supposed to do. Build my roster. So it says manage roster right there. So let's go there. She's already there. And it'll come up. And what you will see that's different than what I'm seeing, you will see your school only. Most of you don't even have multiple schools. Is there a district in here that has more than one high school in the district? Not one, right? I mean, Dallas, just think what Dallas looks like. It has 25 high schools and 42 middle schools when I log in as the AD. So look how much more simple it is for a TAPPS for most of you. So you will see your school name. Now, sports, you won't see the whole list. When I set you up, if you coach basketball, and girls volleyball, you're only going to see girls basketball and girls volleyball. If I give you access to all girls sports, you're going to see them all. Does that make sense? So I'm building my roster. Which roster do I want to build? Volleyball, female. Okay, I want to build the varsity. And then the team name will show up. You have to click all 4 boxes. Because what would happen, the system has to know, let's say you were fortunate enough to have enough numbers to have your high school, basketball, JV, or 9th grade, and you had a yellow and a black team. That's why you have to go all the way across, all the way to the team level. Make sense? So you simply tell it which roster you want to build, and then you hit build roster, and it would bring up all of the kids in the high school. Well, you could say, well, I don't want to see those boys. I don't have one boy on my volleyball. I want it to be faster to do that. Narrow the list. Female only. Hit build roster. Now it would narrow it to girls only. Well, we're so good that I only have juniors and seniors on my varsity. I don't even want to see the freshmen and sophomore. I could select the grades and I could narrow it down. You see what I'm doing? Then I could say, well, I don't see the whole list. I don't want to see them all. I could go over here if I wanted to and say, I want to see as many as 500 on the list. If you had 1,000. And what it would do is you basically have all of your girls showing, and then you would just scroll down the list. They'd all be in alphabetical order, and you would just go down through there, and all you got to do is check the box, and it tells you added a roster, and then you just check the next box. And then you hit view roster, and it would show you all of the girls that you had added to the volleyball roster. And it would show you red or green. Right now they're all red. They're missing something. They haven't turned in a physical, hasn't been uploaded yet, or the parents haven't filled out the paperwork online. When they turn green, you know they're good to go. And most of it's automated. Now somebody in your school is going to have some administrative rights. Because not all of you, the way I understand it anyway, not all of you have athletic trainers who are going to scan and upload those physicals. So it might have to be the campus coordinator, the administrator. Typically a coach cannot, but a coach can be given access. If an administrator says, hey, you know what, you're the best guy with technology in here, and I know I got you in there as a coach, I'm going to go ahead and give you access to be the guy who's going to do this. And then you would do it. You got to have a gatekeeper. You don't just let everybody do it. Then it gets, well, who did it? You see what I'm saying? So, it will tell you in here, look, it'll tell you what you're missing. Now something that is different that TAPPS does versus the way that I'm set up right now, and that's why we're having to make a couple of tweaks. This sheet won't look right because all students are going to start out with only those 3 forms required. But then as those parents filling out that paperwork, all of a sudden, you're not a U.S. citizen, you're an international student, it triggers additional paperwork for you. Not required for me because I said yes, but you have additional paperwork. So now you're going to have an extra checkbox because you've got to get the international packet. Or you're a transfer student. So now you've got an additional paperwork because now you have to have the PAPF filled out. So you're going to stay red. That make sense? So there'll be a way that still identifies, and you will still stay red until all of your paperwork is turned in. What our system is going to do is, as soon as you have additional requirements, everybody has a standard. But when you hit one of those little snafus and you have additional paperwork, it's going to create an additional box for those kids. And it's as simple as when it gets taken care of. We're just getting it to where you can submit that paperwork to TAPPS. They can go in there and they'll review it and they'll say yes, approve or denied, and then they'll approve it and turn them green. If I'm a student and I have everything filled out, and now I'm waiting on TAPPS to approve or deny the PAPF, I'll stay red, and then they'll either deny it, you'll stay red. You guys can't overturn it. Or they approve it, they'll go green. Make sense?
So TAPPS is going to be the one that actually goes into rank one and says, yeah, you're approved.
Yeah, they've been doing it anyway. You've just been having to do a lot of sending them documents and faxing. Now they'll get it inside rank one, and every day it tells them every day how many people have submitted a form, and then they'll go in there and review it.
And so this is going to take the place of TAPPS.
Yes.
The rosters, we're not going to have to put the rosters into TAPPS too.
Here only. Here only. TAPPS will be phased out probably within a year. It'll be completely gone. They may keep a little bit of it. We're not sure just yet because of our development. We'll be doing iterations and releasing stuff all year long. Like July 15th, this will all go live for you. Your forms will all be ready to go. We already can put all your kids in there. We can already do all of your scheduling, but there's some little tweaks in there. The nice thing about it, some of the whistles and well, I don't want to go too fast. But that's how you build a roster. A kid quits. What do you think you do? That's pretty intuitive, right? And it just told you. And if you had equipment checked out, it would tell you, oh, hey, you got a kid leaving, he's got equipment checked out. So it gives you alerts like that. You don't have to use that part. So, you simply uncheck the box and hit view roster again, that kid would be gone. So just manage your rosters. Manage your rosters at all times. If they're accurate at all times, you'll have no problem. Yes, sir.
Did you say that your head coaches should not have access to be able to manage the roster?
No, they should.
They should.
Yes.
They should.
Typically, a head coach can't go in there and clear kids.
Okay.
That's an administrative task or an athletic trainer task. They should be able to go in there and upload.
The master list should be.
That's where,
okay.
yeah, that's
Gotcha.
So a coach, every coach, as soon as you put them in, has access to build their roster. No excuses. When they're playing somebody, there's no excuses. They just didn't look. Oh, I thought he was green. There is no, one day he was, you know what I'm saying? There's only, I'll be very clear, there's only two reasons you're red. One is I'm missing paperwork. Can you guess what the only other reason you were red in the software would be?
Injury.
Very good. Those from people who have been using the software. So an athletic trainer, Kenzie gets a concussion. I, as an athletic trainer, could go in there and say, hey, she's got a concussion. She's on the mandatory 7-day injury protocol. She should not be playing. She can override the system and turn it red. Now, here's what it does. It will send the coach an instant push notification and an email and letting them know the kid's injured. But what happens if that athlete's not on the roster? The athletic trainer still went and did their job. Concussion, shouldn't play. But the coach didn't put it on the roster, so how could our system send you an email and a push notification? It can't. That's why it is so imperative. It is the most important thing in the software to make the software work, is that roster has to be accurate and accurate at all times. If it is, the communications work right, the reporting that TAPPS runs works right. When you export it to Excel, it has all your kids, when it has eligibility for playoff games, all of that stuff. As long as that baby's right, you'll have no problem when it comes to the roster. Yes?
What happens if they're ineligible due to academics?
So,
Will it show red?
no, well, here's the deal. It could. I have some schools that will do this, and you have to decide work-wise whether you want to do it or not. So I can go in here, or you can go in here, and we can add grade as a checkbox. And we can set it to where everybody starts out with a check in there as yes. Because when you come back to school, everybody's eligible, right? As far as grades. So I could turn it on and say yes on grades. 6 weeks go by, she's failing. I would have to manually, as an administrator, go in there and uncheck it. She would say red because of grades. But is that more work? Because typically you have, your report from Skyward or Renweb or whatever, you have your failing list. This is more of a compliance, TAPPS compliance. Do you want to take the time to go in there and uncheck that? I have schools say, you know what, I only have like 10 or 12 at most that should be failing. I want to go ahead and have the grade box, and I'll go in there manually so I can keep it all in rank 1. And some will say, I don't want to mess with it, I got my eligibility here, and they can look at the grades on their current grade sheet, and they didn't know who's failing, and they shouldn't have them out there. If it's me, I'm going to do it all in one place. Because I feel like I'm not going to have that many kids failing, and it's not that hard for me to go in there and uncheck 5 kids. So we can absolutely set that up for you. That's exactly how this one's set up. They would all start out with a yes, and they can uncheck them when they're failing, and when they pass it, you just go back there and check the box, and they turn green. Yes, sir?
Sorry. No problem with the kid being on more than one roster?
Multiple rosters and even multiple levels. I could be on the varsity. For some sports, I don't know, crazy, they can wrestle. In other states, they can wrestle like on the JV and the high school twice a week or something like that. So it's unlimited. You can be on multiple levels and sports. Okay? Athlete management. Number 1. Most important thing. Build your rosters and have them right at all times. If you'll do that, you're halfway home. All the reporting, all the messaging, everything works. Okay? Now, bells and whistles. I don't want to spend, we've got about 25 minutes. It only took 2 minutes to actually show you how. You forget, or you get a new coach, or you don't want to wait on us to show you. Right here in the Manage Rosters, Building Roster Tutorial. Click on that. Step by step. Oh, this is actually a video. Kinsey created this. So you even have a video tutorial on how to build a roster right here. Okay?
A PDF one though, where you don't have to hear me talk. It's tutorials.
Yes. And we're updating. You would think, oh wow, your tutorials are out of date. We are releasing so much, so fast, that our tutorials, it's hard to keep up with them. They're changing all the time. But we are trying to update those as well. But even for TAPPS, we're releasing stuff daily. So my tutorials are out of date. And it's just hard to keep up with everything. But we'll get them caught up. But we have nice tutorials up here. And then, you can get them from the dashboard as well. I'm going to show you, since we're talking about athlete management, I just want to show you a couple of things while I have you, because you can see how easy it is to build a roster. Let's talk just real quickly, bells and whistles. Well, before I do bells and whistles, let's do something mandatory. Let's go back to the master list. For those of you who are admin level, or you get assigned to be this admin level, hey, you're the best one with the computer, so guess what? You're doing it. That's going to happen. It happened to me when I was in the school business. It did happen to me because I was the worst one with somebody else. It didn't happen too. So let's say that she brings me her 3 pages. She's an athlete. Here's my 2-page medical history all filled out, and here's my physical. Okay, I know I'm supposed to do something in rank 1, and I know it's supposed to get uploaded. Where in the heck? How do I do that? So let me show you how that's done. You would log into rank 1. Would you go to a schedule to upload a physical? That doesn't make sense. It has something to do with an athlete. So we're going to go to athlete management. Athlete management, we're going to go to the master list. Okay? The kid's name is Cole Beasley. So I don't have to pull up the list or anything. I got a stack of them right here. I could just type in Beasley, or I could type in Cole. It'll go find, the name search, or I can get the first 3 letters and it'll go find them. So you can search by name, and when I'm doing a stack of paperwork, I don't like to look at the whole list. I just look at the next one and put the last name or first name in and go find them. I click on their name. I'm supposed to upload a physical. Well, I know I gotta do something. So when I click on the kid's name, it's gonna come up. So now, let me run through this so you guys, new people, understand kind of what some of the nice things about Rank 1 are. Each student has a profile, student profile page. Remember I told you we're gonna work with your IT department and we're gonna upload all the kids? Well, there are certain information that's required, first name, last name, student ID, gender, grade, address, birthday. There's 7 fields that are required. So you're at least going to get this top section filled out automatically, just from the import. So you're going to have that. Well, remember I told you a while ago you had one of the very first online forms is called a student profile? Well, guess what that thing has on it? Guardian 1, phone number, address, email address, allergies about this kid. Guess what they're going to fill out when they're submitted? Guess what it's going to do to all of this part? It's going to fill it all in for you. You're going to get a tremendous student profile just from that parent filling out that form online. It's going to update in here. And then next year when a parent goes on there and they have to fill it out, as soon as they validate, my daughter is Man, her ID number is 7721. It will look in the database, it will grab all that data and it will auto-populate it. And all that parent will do is look at it, yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right, submit it. So we're going to have that where it's auto-populating for the parent. Oh, all of a sudden they found out that the kid's also allergic to, they didn't know it at the time, but is allergic to some wheat or something. They can update the allergies and the medical conditions for you. See that profile, how that profile form is going to talk to that? So then when you pull out your app and you pull up a kid in the app and those phone numbers will be blue and you just touch them in the app and you call the parents. Hey, your kid's hurt. Hey, misbehaving, come get him, take him home, whatever. You can actually see all that profile right there. EMT asking, is he allergic to anything? Oh, shoot, I don't have those. Oh, wait a minute, log into Rank 1, look at the allergies. You got any medical conditions? Oh, he's diabetic. You know, you have that information right there in your app because they're going to fill it all out on that student profile. You can even print the profile form out. If you say, hey, I'm afraid I'm going to be out someplace in a very small town that doesn't even have internet, you could actually print the form, each kid's profile form out because it'll send it in. It'll be an electronic file, in their electronic filing cabinet. All right, so back to the top. Forms. There will be the list of forms. They'll all see how Kenzie's not in edit mode. She couldn't change it. She actually has an edit button up here, but a coach would not. Coach can't change it. Got to be pretty much that athletic trainer or that administrator rights to be able to edit and go in there and clear those off for some reason, upload those documents. Injuries. Here's something that's new. I think this is going to be one of the things I think that people are going to struggle with the most. So you guys know, maybe you don't know, but your software is being paid for. You know, you're not even going to have to pay for it. Well, that doesn't come without some type of expectation. For the next 5 years, I guess they funded it for all 5 years. I think the contract's 5 years. Well, somebody is doing that for a reason. Your organization wants to be able to know this kind of information. How many kids are getting hurt? What's the real truth on concussions? Do we see a trend? Now that we can't tackle, you know, we're so worried about the head, are we now having more shoulder injuries? Because now we're tackling with over here, injuries, ankles, turfs, wood floors, sports, new sports getting added, boys sports, girls sports. Do soccer players need to wear a helmet? Should they be in a plastic bubble? All that kind of stuff. You can't just guess at that kind of information. You have to compile information. So, somebody at your school, when kids get hurt, you got to be an administrator or an athletic trainer to have access, or we have to go in there and give you access, special access, to be able to enter that data. Let me show you how easy it is to enter an injury. Obviously, I went and found the athlete. I clicked on their name and I went to, well, what do I need to do? Am I messing with their forms? No, I need to put an injury in. They told me to go into Rank 1 and put an injury in. Well, it should be pretty intuitive. You go to athlete management, go find the kid, click on his name and go to the injuries tab. And if you need to edit an existing one, if you'd already put some in, you could just hit edit on any of them or click on the injury, or You can hit add new injury. When you click it, it's pretty much a fill in the deal, go down through there and fill it in, and it'll ask you a question, what time was the injury? I mean, it's not rocket science, and it's really not. You even can modify it a little bit.
But
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
just gonna be for your trainer who has access to that,
Yes.
it's not a coach.
That's right. That's who should be doing it.
Okay.
But let's face it, how many in here do not have an athletic trainer in their school? So guess what? Somebody's gonna be designated to do that, typically the campus administrator. Yes?
Is there a limit to how many people can do
No,
that?
no.
Okay.
You guys can control that yourself. Yes?
Will we get a list of the things that TAPPS is gonna require us to use rank one?
Yeah, I was having,
It's right here.
it's in your book.
The back,
Okay.
home pages.
I went ahead and built a brochure, it already has. I sat down with them the other day, and that's straight from their mouth of what they are going to require. And there's supposed to be a handout, right? Or is it,
This is the
this is the handout?
Okay.
Tried to be proactive and have something ready for you. How am I doing on time? Still have 15 minutes. Am I going too slow? I'm boring the heck out of you guys, or is this beneficial? We're okay so far? All right. So, because all of you are entering in your injuries at the end of the year, at different times, that medical group is going to be able to compare large districts to small districts, large districts to other large districts, some sports to other sports, sports against sports. We're going to be able to and actually have real data, not people going, well, I know concussions are out there and every kid's got one. That's not right. You've got to have data put in. So that's why Brian and Steve and Robert, your TAPPS leadership and the rest of that staff, they need you to do this one thing for them. Enter the injury information in. If you have questions, you'll be calling Larry and Chad. You'll have those children's medical group. Hey, I'm not sure. That's part of the deal. They're going to be able to help you. You're going to have resources. They want to hear from you. They got athletic trainers that are going to be at your playoff games. You guys have seen them there before, right? You've been fortunate enough to make one. And they've got staff that you'll be able to contact and get help about that. All right. So that was the injury tab. The files tab. I told you, every student, think about it. I'm a parent. She's my daughter. She's going to play sports. I have to fill out the paperwork on it. Instead of doing all that paperwork now, I'm going to go online, I'm going to print out physical and medical history. I know I got to turn that in. But the rest of the forms are right here. I click on it and I fill it out and I hit submit. I go, oh, it takes me to the next form. I fill it out, I click on it, and I hit submit. Well, where's it going? How's it getting there? Well, when I put her in, I know her last name and I know her ID number. Let's say, oh no, our kids don't know their ID numbers. Okay, we'll set it up on your school. If you don't know the ID numbers, we'll use first name, last name, and birthday to validate. Because you know your kid's first name, you know the last name, and know the birthday. And then it looks inside the system and it says, yep, there is a kid in there with man, birthday, last name, everything matches up. That's how I'm going to make sure when I fill it out, it goes to her filing cabinet and checks all the right box. I would prefer to tell you, use the student ID number, the one they use for library, lunches, and all that. That's because there's only one. It is possible to have man, Kinsey, man, birthday, same. It's very, very, very rare. That's why we'll go ahead and let you use that. But last name of student ID is by far the best way, okay? Man, 0024. Ding, it'll say, yep, it validated. Now, I fill out the paperwork, I hit submit, it goes across the internet. It goes right in and creates and tells you, and it uploads a PDF to each one of those forms. So her electronic filing cabinet is where all of her records, all of her forms that I submit, that's where they go, and they stay there forever. They will not get lost. I don't care if you download it 500 times. I don't care if the coach, you, the coach, the nurse, and 10 other people downloaded a copy of that physical. That original's in there. It's not going anywhere. You don't lose data. We have backups and backups and more backups and clouds and all this other stuff. Because we know that's the number one most important thing, your documentation. And like I said, you need a copy of it, you'll be able to hit download. You
So
can
we
view it
no
from
longer
there.
have to go in and accept them like we have in the past.
That's right.
Okay.
I would tell a parent, I'm not taking paperwork if it were me. I have school districts do it all the time. Nope, because then I gotta scan it. If you take it, Now guess who's responsible for uploading it?
Yep.
So why would you take it, other than the physical and the medical history, why would you take it? I tell them, you can't do it, bring your phone over here, they can do it from their phone. Come to the library, I'll put you on a computer where you can fill them out online. I would not take the paper if it were me. At first, when those districts were telling me, I'm gonna tell them, I ain't taking any more paper. I said, are you sure? You sure you don't want to put it? Because I was like nervous, and they were like, no, if they want to play, they'll fill it out. And you know what? They did. Didn't lose anybody. I asked them. Came back and asked them. The first district told me that a while back. I said, did you lose any because you just said, hey, fill it out online or you ain't playing? Because didn't lose one. And now I'm not handling it all. Work smarter, not harder. Because you can do this from your iPhone. Soon you can actually do it from the parent app. You can actually fill out the forms from the parent app. So a parent has an app, they can see which ones are missing, but they still got to go to Safari, go to the website, and fill them out on the phone. You can actually sign it on your phone or the computer. But soon you'll actually be able to do it inside the app. We're working on that for them right now. Okay? So get them to fill out the paperwork online, and then it tells them. And here's something that's different as a TAPPS school. Parents cannot go to our, open up another tab and go to the website. Let's show them what it's going to look like. Let's at the top. You just have to go to rank one there. Click on the top, bring up the school. So in Texas, we have all these schools, just anyone, just somebody's got the forms. So in the past, even TAPPS school, there was a choice for a parent. Do you want to carry the parent account or do you just want to fill out the forms? That's gone. Now they must create. Did you hear that? But you watch, it'll work and it'll be fine. You know why? Because it's an expectation. What do you have to do to create a parent account? You got to put your email address and a password, hit click. Then it sends you a confirmation, you click the confirmation, you're done. Why do we have to have that? Why are we so adamant? Because parents can't access the forms after the term line. You can't shoot them messages because they can't get their email address right. So I'll back up, I'm going to tell you a story. 10 years ago, I didn't have a parent account even possible. So what I would do is you would fill out the form and submit it. It would go into the system. And then it would send you an email with a copy, a PDF of the form you just turned in. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Until I get a call from California and the guy says, hey, you just emailed me some kid's physical and medical history information. Because that parent wasn't smart enough to put, I shouldn't say smart, they made a mistake. And it wasn't just one. I was getting these daily. And I was going, I'll bet you this just isn't the right way to handle this. Kind of dangerous. So now think about it. Now you're the parent and you put your email address in and the password and we send you a confirmation. You have to click on the confirmation that it was you. Now you've got a parent account. And now I can make sure when I'm emailing you, it's going to the right person.
And they can do it with Facebook too. Everybody has a Facebook. 90% of America has a Facebook. So if they don't want to type their email, they can just click log in with Facebook. It doesn't pull any of their Facebook data, but that's just how they get in, just by clicking that. So that's
Or Google either one.
Yeah, or Google Mail. Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I already have other districts that require it. Not a problem. It's actually better. Because now, you know when you scan and upload that physical and medical history, got a parent account, I can now download it as a parent. It puts a PDF right there inside my parent account. I don't have to call you every time I need a copy of it. All those other forms they filled out online, they're not calling you and asking for it because they can log right into the parent account and download it. And now when you shoot them messages, they got a place in their parent account where those messages go, and they can open up, if they don't have the app, they can even go to their parent account and they can read the message you sent to them, like no practice today, or it's picture day, or whatever. Make sense? How many of you used the old text messaging when you used rank one? Anybody in here? That's gone. Text is gone. We replaced it with instant push notifications. That's why you want to have every parent download. You have to show it on there, maybe not. Probably can't see my screen, but yours is the dark blue app with the red letters, and the parents is the white one which says R1 Public. Can you bring it up on the screen? Just go to the app. Greg, where would we go? App Store or
Let's go to Google Play or App Store, both. There's two apps, Rank One Coach Admin app for you all, and then Rank One Publix for the parents.
Now, while she's doing that, once again, I want to work harder, not smarter. I want to tell a parent in a parent meeting, there's a benefit for you downloading that parent app, mom, dad, and here's why. You simply go, it's free. You go to it, you download it. It says add your child, favorite your child, and you click in there and you put their correct district, you choose the state, Texas. You choose the school, this school, and you put the last name and ID number. Ding, and it adds your kid. Well, all of a sudden, my daughter's on the varsity volleyball and she's on the varsity basketball. All those schedules automatically populate into the app, and you can click that sync to calendar, and it syncs all your calendars. And it shows the next 5 events, practices, and games, and everything else as long as you're putting it in the software. And when you push notifications, score updates, your schedule changes, it instantly dings on their phone and gives them those messages. All because they simply download the app, put their kid in. And you were putting your schedules in there and keeping your roster right. Those 4 things tied together make it that much easier for everybody. It is literally that easy. As soon as I add Kinsey to my app, any sport that she's on and the schedule is made, automatically populates. Any practice schedules in there, boom, goes right in there. Her forms, it shows her what's missing. She's eligible. Isn't that a lot easier than doing all this calling and getting calls and everything? Download the app, mom and dad. Favorite your kid. We have step-by-step instructions for how to do that too in the tutorial. Print them off and hand them to them. Okay?
So is there any messaging, something within Rank One? Is that a session today?
Well, it's so easy, you don't really need a session, but watch this. Messaging. From the dashboard, I'm going to bounce here just for a second. You log in, you have messaging from right there or up here. We had the screen a little larger view. So either place, and then you hit compose message, and it just walks you through who do you want to send it to, other employees or rosters and players' parents. Then once again, what are you going to select? What you need to. I mean, I could teach you how to do this in 2 seconds. Hey, I got to choose my school, and if I choose my sport, basketball, it's going to send them to all basketball. Oh, I don't want everybody in basketball, I just want my varsity. Then go to varsity. Now it's only the varsity team is going to get the message. Then I go down there and I hit search, and it'll bring up, and I can type in the message title, details, boom. 2 seconds later, ding, 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 all those kids get an instant notification. I no longer have to worry about, do they have the right email? I don't have to worry about getting blocked, going to spam. That's our app, this is our app. They talk to each other instantly.
So the parents and the kids will do that?
Good.
So where did the emails come from?
The email addresses that are going to be in Rank One, are those coming from?
The profile page.
The parent will put it in when they create the.
Yep.
The cool thing is when she just sent that, it'll come automatically, like a Facebook notification, just like right on your phone. It says Rank One Public or Rank One App, this is the message.
So if there's
This is
dual
the
parents, step-parents,
They both-
they both need to get an account.
Yeah. And they'll both have access to that data.
And is there a way for administration to see what emails go out?
See, that's another thing you couldn't do in the past. If you were just texting, first of all, it's if it's got any kind of information, you're violating because it's on the phone. It's not encrypted. It's part of the phone. Versus now you're doing it in the app. Now you're encrypted in behind the scenes if somebody were to capture it. And your parents got it. So it's all encrypted going both ways. And every message you send is recorded. So when your administrator comes in and somebody goes, hey, I've been sending inappropriate messages to this girl. Wait a minute. Coach has protection. Coach can say, nope. I'll pull up every message I ever sent. And so can the admin. Coach is gone, whatever. They're gone. Hey, that old coach was doing it. No. Every message is right there. They can go back and forth. It's one way only. I know they want to tell you how good a job you're doing as a coach, but it's one way only. They're going to have to tell you. They're going to have to tell you in another way. Okay? You're pushing. They're not sending back. Okay? We don't have a reply. We just felt like you guys didn't want to be. That's just too much. That's too easy access and too easy for them to be letting you know stuff. So it's right there. Compose message. That took place of the text. Email is still out there. For email alerts, We just updated all of our email alerts. We'll be pushing those live in a very short time. I only have like a minute left. You can always come to another session. Maybe I'll do a better job of streamlining it. But today was to give you an overview, you know, and I wanted you to see a little bit about it. July 15th, we should be ready to go with your online forums. If you'd like to get started before then and get your kids in, support at rankonessport.com. Hey, can we go ahead and start? What we'll do is send you, we have it. Remember, since we've been doing this a long time, we're working with so many schools, we have a nice packet that will email you. The Excel spreadsheets, you literally have to just give them to your secretary or your IT person who has access to the data, and we'll get them in there for you, okay? Scheduling, come to one of the scheduling, because you can actually start doing the scheduling now. It's already all ready. There's nothing to stop you from going ahead. And we have some new stuff. If you're an existing school, let us show you the new scheduling shortcut. Just a minute.
Being an existing school, I realize some of the changes are gonna happen, but we've had all the online forms already in there being done.
Uh-oh. Guess what? I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but we did mention to them that, hey, you probably should tell all the existing schools to wait because they are gonna change.
Which we haven't, I knew there was changes coming, so we haven't done anything for 1920, but what
Good.
I'm saying as far as our
That'll all stay in
student
there.
profile and like some physicals.
All stay, physicals are no problem.
Okay.
Because the physical's physical. If you've already uploaded physicals for 1920, no problem, that'll still work. They didn't change the physical.
Okay.
But all the other tax forms that y'all have created for us,
They're gonna
those are
change.
gonna go away
Yeah.
because.
We combined them and done some stuff.
And scheduling is gonna be required?
Scheduling is required. And when you put your scores in, it'll automatically calculate the district standings every Friday night, every Tuesday night, every whatever. There'll be no more multiple entries. Everything will be read from rank 1. Gotta put your schedules in, gotta put your scores in.
If we have a health application that's online, can that pull from there, or how do we do it to upload them specifically? Like, we have like a whole different health grouping online that we don't even touch, we don't even have paperwork on. We have physicals, but we don't have the health on, they're all online. Can that be transferred into this, or how does that work?
Well, I'm not sure I follow you. Is it a TAPPS health deal or is it yours?
It's the schools that we have made it to be as much like TAPPS as possible.
Then that's gonna be an additional thing. You have to decide whether you're gonna keep doing it or use what TAPPS is doing.
Okay.
They're required.
Yeah.
And what you do on above and beyond is up to you, and we'll put it in there.
Okay.
But you gotta ask yourself, once you see what they've done, is it redundant? Because that profile deal has a lot of stuff on it. It's really nice.
Right.
Next, and probably the next session, I may even bring it up. I can at least show you what most of it looks like. It's called the profile page. We have it. Just don't have all the, it's pretty dynamic. You click this button, it tells the parent to do this and this. You click this button, bypasses that, and takes you over to a new section. So a lot of programming is going on with that right now. You guys have been great. I hope you got something beneficial out of it. It's time for the class to be over. I just know you might have other ones and other people are going to be pouring in, but I appreciate it. We look forward to working with you.